Approximately 1:30 this morning, two males walking through Central Park north of the 102nd Street jogging path found a female. She was still alive, and in fact still is alive. The female was clad only in a bra. She was lying exposed in the area, appeared to have been exposed for a couple of hours. Her body temperature down very low. Around her mouth is an article of clothing that was wrapped around her face, and the same article was used to bind her wrists to her face. She had been struck around the head repeatedly, mud on her body. She appears to have been dragged through the woods north into the shrub area. She was taken to Metropolitan Hospital, where she's classified as in serious condition.
I look back at the jogger case and wish I had been more skeptical as a journalist. You know, a lot of people didn't do their jobs. Reporters, police, prosecutors, defense lawyers. This was a proxy war being fought. And these young men were the proxies for all kinds of other agendas. And the truth and the reality and justice were not part of it.
This is the time for us as black people to stick together for these young brothers from the Central Park Five. They are innocent. They lost their youth. It was stolen from them. They were illegally, unconstitutionally, savagely interrogated and forced into some confessions that everybody knew that they did not commit. The DNA evidence proved it. Somebody already admitted to it. The mayor should not have them in court with a civil suit trying to get their compensation. We should settle it out of court. We have to demand that. So for Black History Month, let's bring a present home for these brothers who lost their youth. No amount of money could ever give them what they lost, but we're going to fight for justice for the Central Park Five.
Hey, we back, everybody. Welcome to the I've Been Falsely Accused Part 11. I'm your host, Cogee. I want to thank everybody for being in today. And this is the Conversations with Cogee show. Hey, I just want to say today is very powerful. Today is something that I definitely got my heart in. I want to thank, everybody who definitely has, helped push me in this situation, saying, hey, you're doing a great job. I think you ought to keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? I think you definitely bringing change. And, I always have a talk with a lot of the staff here, and I've been, hearing a lot of great things about what they feel that I'm doing. And I'm appreciative. But even if I didn't hear what I wanted to hear from them, I still know that the higher power put us in certain positions to do things that we do, and everybody's not going to roll with us. And it's funny that on the break, I was talking to Foxy a minute ago, and I was saying, Foxy, everybody ain't going to feel what we trying to do, but we got to roll with our heart and roll with what's in our gut, because number one, we don't ask for nothing. All we asking for is change, and we trying to talk to the people and just put people up on game. The game of life. You know what I'm saying? Bad chess moves can get your queen, get everything taken from you. They can go board on you for real. But all we trying to do is bring change. We ain't trying to hurt feelings. We ain't trying to put nobody down. You don't hear me bashing the police. I always say it's certain apples on the tree. I'm not saying it's the whole force. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of good police out there that's been retired police, and they come back and they help exonerees get free because they go into the case a little bit more because they got time and they really see that there's no way that this could have been done, and they come back and they bring change. And I definitely want to thank the higher power for them. I just want y'all to know that the next guest that I have coming in a minute, Mr. Raymond Santana, he was one of the Central Park Five. These young men that got, accused of, attacking a lady and, doing all kind of stuff to her. But, y'all heard the clips coming in. And, what they went through was horrific. I mean, it was terrible. I mean, nobody should go through nothing like this, especially at the ages they were when they went through this. But that's why I say, as parents, y'all need to understand, when your children go through anything and they go down there in front of the police, when you go down there in front of the police, you don't need to get mad and mouth off and cuss them out. You need to have a level head and say, I'm going to be the example for my child and show my child what to do. We will not talk. He or she will not talk until our attorney is present. It ain't about black eyes and bloody nose. Black eyes and bloody noses on everything that happens in life. Sometimes you got to keep a cool head and say, I know I'm getting done wrong, but watch this. Watch the outcome of what I'm going to do to spin this around. And that's what kind of person I am. You know what I'm saying? I done been through a lot of stuff, but I always keep a cool head because I tell you what, I know what I'm going to do when it comes down to it. It ain't about showing the public just because somebody run their mouth or say this and say that, you're going to pop off or want to shoot and kill somebody. It ain't even about that. I think people know when they know you personally and know, well, you know, I can get away with saying that, but I know if I touch him, it's going to be a different ball game. That's the way people need to look at it sometimes. If ain't nobody putting their hands on you and ain't nobody in your face or bringing danger to your family, it's not worth it. It's not worth proving to a crowd that don't care about you in the end anyway, you know what I'm saying, that you tough. But it's also not about you getting caught up in something and trying to prove you tough without an attorney in the room with you and mouthing off and cussing these police out and just being so bad and belligerent that they like, you know what? We gonna keep you mad because you keep running your mouth and we gonna record everything you say. And guess what? We got you trapped up because you a big mouth. When you innocent, hey, you have nothing to fear. Now, you always gonna fear for your life being taken, but you don't have to act a fool. You can be calm and cool and wait till your parents get there or wait till your attorney get there and then do it the right way. See, some people just don't know the law. So they do go in panic mode. Now, I'm not faulting nobody that don't know the law and they just scared and fighting for their life because that's a scary thing to get it taken from you. But I just want y'all to understand that it's the right and the wrong ways of doing things that can hurt you sometime. Now, once I teach you on this show and I have taught you and I've said certain things, you can't say I didn't know. If you do it anyway, that meant you just went on and done your own thing. I say it to my team all the time. Well, don't do your own thing on this show because this is a show that I take very serious. We're going to do it the way I need it done because it stays in the format of the host. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Anything going in a different direction ain't a part of my show. But anything going in the wrong direction ain't a part of your life. You get what I'm saying? So you got to be always aligned with what you need to do to make sure your life is all right. And I thank God. I thank the high power for my team that's around me and my team all around the world that rally for me and all the exonerees that, you know, write me and Jeffrey and everybody. Me and Jeffrey, we definitely care about you all. And that's why we doing what we doing. And, you know, like I said, with Mr. Lorenzo Johnson, I'm going to read a letter from y'all in the last hour that Lorenzo wrote me from prison. You know, and that made me feel real good. And I mean that, definitely. And Lorenzo, I got a lot of love for you, man. And, you know, like I said, I'm going to be sitting down tonight. I'm going to be writing you back. And I'm definitely going to send you, you know what a player's bet is. So I'm going to definitely send you a player's bet and make sure you're all right, man. God bless you and your family. And, you know, I want to do this real quick. So, Foxy, I'm going to ask you real quick. And then we'll come back into it later on. But again, why is this show important today? And why should people get their pens and paper, jot this down, and be ready to learn?
So they'll know what to expect when they get in that situation.
That's right. You're definitely right about that.
But I really think they need to teach the children in school what to do when they get caught up with the police. Because sometimes they're hot-headed and they just don't want to listen to the police, and they don't think the police can put their hands on them and they will beat you down if you got a big mouth. Right. And especially if you coming at them where they can say, man, he got so wild and crazy, he was cussing and going off, and I felt like I ain't know what he was going to do. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You never know what a person like that is going to do. A person like that will make me get on guard. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I want y'all to stay locked in and tuned in, and we'll be right back in with Mr. Raymond Santana. And like I said, hey, this is a show you need to listen to. You're going to learn or you're going to lose. It's going to be one of the two. We'll be right back. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Conversations with Cogee show. I'm your host, Cogee, and this is the I've Been Falsely Accused, part 11. So we're going to move fast in this hour because I got my man on here, Mr. Raymond Santana, and me and him definitely got a lot of educating to do to the public right now. And I just talked to him, and he's definitely on fire to bring his message. And, hey, God bless him and the rest of his crew, you know, and what they've been through. I'm glad they out, but we're going to talk more about it in a minute. Jay, roll the red carpet for him, please.
Raymond Santana and 4 other teenagers were wrongly convicted of raping a jogger in New York Central Park in 1989. The 5 of them, who have become known as the Central Park 5, didn't even know each other before they were arrested. They just happened to be out in the park the night of the horrible crime. Raymond was incarcerated for 6 years, and combined they all spent more than 30 years in prison before they were exonerated in 2002. DNA evidence recovered from the victim was matched to Matthias Reyes, a convicted murderer and rapist who has since admitted committing the crime. We want to welcome Raymond Santana to the show.
Mr. Raymond Santana, how you doing today, sir?
I'm all right, brother. How you doing? First
Man.
up, thank you for having me on the show.
Oh,
It's
man.
an honor.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. And it's an honor for me to have you here as well, because like I say to everybody, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me right now, trying to help me to educate our youth and educate our grown-ups about a lot of stuff that's going on right now. When I did my opening a minute ago, I'm going to ask you like I asked everybody, did I hit it on the nose? Did I say anything wrong? If I offended you on anything, I give you my high apology, but it's really coming from my heart and my passion. What did you think?
I thought that you was 100% on point with it. What happened to us is definitely a lesson that people can learn from. And it doesn't matter what color, because exonerees come in all colors, shapes, and sizes.
That's right.
It's basically the people versus the criminal justice system, and those who have been put in place to carry the system on the backs of others. And so at the end of the day, man, with this information that you're giving is very powerful. It can save somebody's life. And that's what matters, saving people's lives, especially our youth at the end of the day, because, they're the generation right now where they don't know what's going on. They don't know these traps that have been set for them in the future, and they're walking right into it. And if we do not come forward and educate them and tell them what's going on and open their eyes to this stuff, then we're just as guilty as those that set in the traps.
That's right. You're right about that, man. And you definitely broke it down. I mean, definitely broke it down. Now, I want to ask you something else real quick. What don't people understand? Now, we're talking to the grown-ups right now, me and you, Raymond. We're going to go back and forth for a minute. We're going to talk to the grown-ups. What don't grown-ups understand about when their children first get locked up and they kept in that room and the parents are kept outside of the room? What don't they understand about what's going on in that room with their children being brainwashed?
Well, what happens is the first thing for a parent is their knowledge of what police procedures are, what goes on in the precinct. And I think sometimes we have our parents who aren't educated in that field. And so to them, the police is like an authority figure. The police is a respectable person in the neighborhood. You should respect the police. You should talk to them. But they don't understand that at the end of the day, these are police officers are trying to get a collar. They have quotas on their back that they have to fulfill, and it doesn't matter who they use to fulfill them. And so the parents, number one, they need to be educated on what happens to a kid when he's in that interrogation room. Another thing is that they need to be aware of people confessing to crimes they did not commit. The first thing that a parent will tell you is, well, who confesses to something they didn't commit? I never heard of that. And you have to be in that situation in order to understand. One example that I always give parents, I say, if you're driving, and police pull you over, you have two reactions. Either you're afraid or you're upset. And the reason that happens is due to experience. It's based on experience. If you have been pulled over by a police officer and he has treated you unfairly, you're upset. If you haven't, you're afraid because you don't know what's going to happen. It's the unexpected. The unexpected is the key element that in these interrogations of why people confess to something they did not do.
That's right, man. You definitely right about that. Now, I want you to say that one more time, a certain part that you just said, and you hit it right on the nose. And I was sitting here just shaking my head like, man, you hit that so on the nose. Why do parents get scared when the police are behind them? Say that one more time, sir.
They look at them as an authority figure, as a person who who they're supposed to go to in a moment, or, if an incident happens or an incident occurs. And that's number one, and when people put their trust into the police, things are subject to happen at any time.
That's right. You definitely right about that. Now we gonna also do this. We gonna talk to the children right now, and we gonna say, when children are out wilding out and they doing everything in the world to open themselves up to fall in the trap, what does this do to the family structure, and what do the parents go through? Now, we're going to talk about when the children are guilty. I mean, really guilty. And then I want you to switch it back and talk about when you have a good child and they say your child done something so heinous that no, my child ain't like that, but the parents really know their child. But let's talk about the children first, who's going out doing the stuff that makes them guilty and making it bad for people like me and you who are fighting right now to try to keep peace, for this situation.
Yeah, it becomes very difficult when you have a person who's out there and they're committing these crimes and they're guilty, because it becomes a reflection of society, of us. they start to look at us and say, well, this is how you people act, and they start to have a disregard for our young people. You know, with the pants sagging and with the lingo, with the N-word, the usage of the N-word. You know, it starts to say, look, you know, you people even care about each other. So why should I care about you?
That's right.
And they start to look at us as something other than human. And, you know, it takes us back to slavery. You know, this prison system is designed, it's built on slavery. You know, and who better to run this system, you know, as far as labor and capacity of the prison system but us. At the end of the day, like, you know, they look at us, well, we don't have no respect for you. You don't have no respect for each other. So we might as well put you somewhere where we can profit off of you at the same time.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You definitely right about that. And see, what makes it so bad is that people don't understand that when they do certain things, that if their parents are already in bad health and you out committing these situations, half of their parents die when they're in prison. They don't even get to see them, but half of them don't even get to go to the prison. Get to go to the funeral. Am I right or wrong, Raymond?
That's correct. That's correct. Especially if a man is in prison and he has such a horrible disciplinary record, if he has if he's there for a vicious crime, then it's definitely impossible to see a loved one when they're in the hospital or when they're passed on. You know.
That's right. Now, I'm going to ask you one more thing, and then we'll move on, and we're going to get into the interview. What does it mean? I feel like what I'm asking you now is very important to the minds of our youth, that, you know, they listen and they get this, what we're saying. Mm-hmm. Because this message in the opening means a lot, because we come in with a lot of common sense, but we also come in with the vision of what we can see that they can't see because of our age. You get what I'm saying?
That's right.
What does it mean to be falsely accused? Give me your terminology.
You know, for us, the Central Park Five, to be falsely accused, right? There were 400 articles written on us within the first 2 weeks. I seconded the life of a 14 and a 15-year-old kid. Now, with that became an emotional public outcry. People started fighting for the death penalty, to give us a death penalty. People said to castrate us. We received numerous death threats. Our family structure fell apart. You know, I came from a big family. 5 uncles on one side, 3 uncles on the other side. They all thought I was guilty. I couldn't even put together $25,000 bail because of them. I couldn't get bailed out. And so my whole family unit fell apart. My dad was the only one that was there, and he got ridiculed at work all the time. He developed a drinking problem. You know, my sister, she got attacked. You know, I mean, this to be falsely accused, right, and to be the Central Park Five, we were the bottom of the barrel. Mm-hmm. The only thing that would probably have trumped us was a child molester. You know, we were considered the worst human beings on the planet Earth.
And then y'all
young boys.
And then y'all were black men who supposedly raped and tortured a white woman.
A white woman. That was correct.
That worked on Wall Street, that they had her as Miss Apple Pie. You get what I'm trying to say?
That's right. That's right. So, and that was a whole other element that fed the machine. That, you know, from the Central Park Five came, you know, the labels of urban terrorists. The super predator. Well, the super predator was the juvenile who now didn't care about life. They were more vicious, and they would start to commit crimes in white neighborhoods. Like to us, the Central Park jogger rape represented, instead of committing crimes in Harlem, now we were branching out to white neighborhoods. And so, you know, 41 states changed their juvenile laws because of this case. You know, we were tried as adults because of this case.
Right.
So to be falsely accused in this case was like the ultimate extreme.
You know what? You definitely right on that. But let me say this real quick, Raymond. One thing that bothered me, and I really, you know, I'm like a prosecutor. I really looked at this situation, and I'm like an attorney. There was a woman, and she was biracial. She was thrown off a building at the same time that y'all's case was going on, and her case she was raped and everything and got thrown off a building, and her case wasn't shined on at all. Yeah. Because she was biracial.
That's correct. There was also a woman, a young girl who she had a mental disability, and she got raped in Jersey by 5 white boys, and that received no press. That received no press. We received all of the negative press.
And one reason y'all received it all is because y'all already was hot on the press.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
That's right.
Right. Y'all was already good news. So we don't want to slide nobody else in it because we got something rolling right now. That's a good vehicle that's going down. Down a mountain, not a hill, a mountain. And they just kept riding on y'all situation. And what hurt me the most was looking at one of our own, the prosecutor. She was biracial, right?
I don't remember what she was. Well,
she looked biracial to me, but I mean, she was on a mission to smash y'all out, man. And then they even asked her in an interview when it was all over, what did she think about winning the case? Even though, and I knew she didn't feel good about it because her answers were short. And they said, well, what are you going to do after this? She said, I just want to take a vacation because she was stressed out. Yeah. I don't think she really believed in her heart. You know, and especially when she called the other people to the office and said, hey, I think we fumbled the ball because of the DNA. You get what I'm saying?
That's right.
You know, but
since we've been in this case, we conducted over 60, 70 depositions, and her deposition was conducted. And, I mean, the stuff that comes out, you know, to find out that, you know, she tested over 40 boys. None of them DNA matched. You know, she still says that we're guilty to this day. We found emails where she's saying that she feels like the DA's office has hung her out to dry. You know, it's ridiculous when it comes to her. Like, you know, she still taught here in the city, in New York City, at Columbia University. And what happened was she was teaching a criminal law class, and she cited our case as a badge of honor, you know, on their website. Until, you know, a petition popped up with 6,000 signatures, and then they wound up taking it off.
Oh, man. But it goes back to what I said earlier. Sometimes if the people that's against us, that's prosecuting us, can say, hey, you know what? We fumbled the ball. I give an apology to these guys. I mean, we try to give them some kind of form of kickback because we took so many years away from these 5, you know, that we need to help them get back on track so they can get a good job. But the record should be expunged immediately when, like you said, why would I walk out the back door when I came out the front door? I'm in the front door. I'm going back out the front door, innocent man. And you was right about that, man. I had so much respect for you when I heard you say that on the video. But the thing about it is, a record should be expunged immediately so y'all can get those jobs at Ford or the big jobs that y'all need to be to get y'all's life back on track. Do you agree?
Oh, 100%. 100% I agree. You know, I mean, you know, our records are expunged, but the damage is already done. Like, you know, we have been in this case now is going on 25 years. 25 years that our names, our photos, our addresses have been printed in the papers.
Oh, wow.
So even though we have been expunged and, you know, our exoneration landed on page 15 instead of the headline, like our convictions got, you know, to go into those jobs and say, hey, you know, I'm filing, you know, a job application, all they got to do now is Google you. Punch up Raymond Santana in the Google search engine, and now you know who I am. So, you know, I mean, that stuff is, the damage is beyond repair by now. You know, and to still get resistance from them, from some of, not the DA's office, but some of the prosecutors on that case, all of the detectives, to still get resistance from them, and for them to say that we're still guilty to this day. We have been exonerated now going on 11 years. All charges dropped. And they still say we're guilty.
But you know what, Raymond? The young guy, what's his name? Mathis Ramos?
Mateus Reyes.
Yeah, this guy, he admitted it. Then he apologized to the other guy and said in jail, man, I hate watching what all you've been through in prison to know y'all didn't do it and I done it. And I just want to step up and say, because I can't take it no more watching you go through this. Now, not only did he admit it, but DNA showed, and he told word for word where the keys were, where the tennis shoes were, the underwear, everything that he done word for word, and broke it all down. And it had nothing to do with what y'all were coerced into saying. You get what I'm saying?
That's correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
But my point is, even though they did DNA and it shows he did it with a shadow of a doubt. I mean, he done it.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all still get no kickback and no thank yous. I mean, no apologies, no nothing. I mean, they should have had a parade for y'all with what y'all went through, just to let that city know this was a major mistake, and we really did crucify these young men, and we need to welcome them back into this city. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, for Reyes, you know, it was the total opposite. This man had to prove to them that he did it.
Oh, wow.
You know, like, he wrote several letters. Nobody answered his letters. Then, you know, and this is after he's seen Wise, after he's seen Corey at Auburn Correctional. He wrote several letters. Nobody answered his letters. Then he told the chaplain. Now, the chaplain, and it goes up the ladder from there. The chaplain, you know, he tells the warden tells Attorney General calls Albany. It went all this ladder till it got to the district attorney's office. Then they sent somebody to interview him. He tells them his story. They take the DNA sample. The DNA matches. Oh, wow. He's still not credible. They say he's still not credible at that point. So they still investigate. Before we got exonerated, it took close to about a year of an investigation to figure out that he was the only person. Now, what they started doing was they tried to tie us into him. Oh, he must have been with the group. He was the one that got away. So he was that sixth person that they were saying was missing. Yeah. So, but he, you know, his history, he was known as the East Side Slasher, the East Side Rapist, right? Wow. So his history alone says that he works alone. He doesn't work with a crew. That's number one.
Oh, wow.
So, and they was looking for this guy already, you know, and so he had, like, even with his credibility, he had to go in there and solve 4 unsolved cases for them. This was how real this guy was. He went in and said, all right, you guys don't believe me? I'm going to solve some more cases. And he started telling them about stories of crimes he commit. They went back and reinvestigated and found that he was telling the truth.
Wow.
And it was like, oh, all right, wait a minute. Yeah, this guy does work alone. But initially, they didn't want to, they still was trying to tie him into us.
Wow. Now, you know, okay, Raymond, let me say this too on what you said. You're definitely right about that, and it's ludicrous and crazy. I mean, he had to persuade somebody on what he did, what he straight did. Okay, but the thing about it is, what bothers me the most is this dude wasn't even, okay, when they did a psychological situation on him, and he wasn't even in jail. Like, you know, they have you in some people that's schizophrenic, he's going through this. They didn't have none of that on him at first. So when he told these things, he told them in his right mind. Am I right or wrong?
That's 100% right. He told them because when he saw Corey walk in the yard, right, and he had that conversation with Corey, he said Corey made him feel so comfortable about, you know, him going into spirituality and him finding God in prison, that he said he had to do something. He had to set Corey free.
Wow.
So he was in his right mind.
Right.
It wasn't, like you said, it wasn't none of that. He said, look, I need to do the right thing. This man has given numerous statements. He came down and testified at a deposition. He even told him in the deposition, he said, look, what is the problem? I am setting the record straight. I am clearing this up. What more do you need for me to do? What more do you want me to do?
That's right.
He called them cowards in the courtroom. He said, you guys are a bunch of cowards because here I am trying to do the right thing, and you still trying to tie these boys into this case.
And you know what? Now, you hit that on the nose. And like I said, I know, you know, we still going to do our interview, but all this that we saying right now is very, very important for people to hear. Do you agree?
That's 100%. I agree.
All right. Now, we're gonna move on with this. Me and you going to keep doing our court thing. Now, me and you, we two prosecutors and we two attorneys. You feel me? Okay. Now, we're going to go to this right now. In the courtroom, if he walk in there and say, hey, I done this. I mean, no way they could have done it. And me and Corey, we didn't had our problem. We didn't got into a fight in jail and, you know, everything. I'm doing this out of, not because nobody scared me, because they might have thought when him and Corey had that confrontation in prison that Corey had him kind of punked out. You get what I'm saying? But it wasn't even about that. What it was, you know, he had an epiphany. You get what I'm saying? And just felt like, I need to do what's right. You know, I know this is wrong. But on top of that, he had nothing to lose. He wasn't never getting out anyway. You feel me?
That's right.
So that's why he was like, you know what? I'm sorry it went on this long, but but I wanted to ask you too. Do you think because he had nothing to lose that somebody, maybe Corey, had talked to him and somebody was going to pay him a lot of money just to get Corey and them out, because he knew he would never get out, but the money, all the money he could have got on the low on his books and stuff, they could have carried him a long time in prison. He'd have been a king. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think any of that played a role in the people's minds that was, controlling the whole situation, that this dude is being, he's being played to say this? Do you think that played a role?
The city, they put together this panel. The police, what happened was, after we got exonerated and we filed the lawsuit, the police department are the ones who are still fighting against us. And they're represented by the city of New York. And so what happened was they put together this panel of, three distinguished lawyers and police officers who that was in their report called the Armstrong report, and that was one of the reasons of Ray coming forward, that some way somehow that we all had this big conspiracy that we was going to go to jail for something Reyes did, and 13 years later he was going to come out and he's going to say he did it so that we can sue the city and get all this money. And so our response was, so you mean to tell me I went to jail for 13 years on a conspiracy? Like, we all plot this? Corey did 13 and a half years in prison for a rape charge that he didn't do because it was all part of a conspiracy to get money after 13 years?
Wow.
I present this to crowds of people, and I say, look, if somebody told you go to jail and after I'll free you and then we'll sue the city and we'll split the money. Who's going to do one day? Nobody raises their hand.
You right about
that? 6
that.
hours a shift, 8-hour shift, go to prison.
Right.
Anybody do it? Any takers? Nobody.
You right about that. Now let me ask you something, Corey. You sitting in the courtroom right now. I want you to roll with me on this. Now go back I know it's a tragic moment to say go back into, but I need you to do this for 1 minute. Go back into the courtroom real quick. This woman comes in the courtroom. She's walking slow. She's look like she got it all together. She get on the courtroom stand and then look at all y'all and go, I don't remember. Did your heart just drop when she said that?
Yeah, well, what happened was that we knew already that she had no memory. Our lawyers had already told us that she had no memory. She couldn't ID nobody. She lost like almost the whole night of what she did. That memory, that piece was gone. And I remember her coming in and sitting on the stand. And I remember Antron McCray was always the one who was saying, I wish she can remember, Ray. I pray to God that she can remember right now. Restore her memory so she could tell this dude that it was not us.
That's right. You definitely right about that. Now, let me do this real quick. Let me ask you something. Are you busy? Are you able to stay with me for another hour?
I don't know. I can give you as much as I can.
Okay, because I was saying I got another hour open. Jeffrey's coming over into it, and that's the other, my other partner that's a part of this show right now. But I got some people right now that want to say something to you.
Oh, fine.
Is that okay?
That's good.
Okay, and I wanted to cross you over into, the other hour with me, and then, just like if 15 or 20 minutes, if I could do that, and we get your story, and then boom, I have you out, and me and you will finish talking today.
Okay.
All right, okay. So I want to go to Miss Peaches real quick. Miss Peaches, what would you like to say to Mr. Raymond?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for being on the show and sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Miss Peaches. What do you think about the case and what all you done heard so far?
I mean, I just think it's unbelievable. Every time I hear the hearts of the men that are on our show, that parts of their life have been taken from them, and this is something that is not an issue and then you just move on from it. It follows you for your whole life, and my heart just really goes out to you and all of the people that you went through this with. And I'm just really just hearing him tell in Cogee how you had him take us back into the courtroom, and the lady to say she doesn't remember. Like, I understand that what she went through was terrible, but the person that did that to her should be the one that gets drugged through the dirt, not innocent men, not just one man, but men. It's just unbelievable to me.
Yeah,
that's right. Now, Ms. Peaches, what I want y'all to do, everybody who's getting ready to come in right now, ask him a question. This show's about knowledge. ask him something and let him give y'all some knowledge on what's on y'all's mind. So, Ms. Peaches, what would you like to ask him? Ryan, you next. Jay, you next. And then Foxy, you next. Go ahead.
If there was anything that you know now that you could go back in time at the very beginning that you could change that feel like it would help you all out, what would you have done different? What could you have done to help you guys?
I mean, you know, for the kids out there, the number one thing that I tell them that can change any situation is don't say anything. Be quiet, you know, ask for your parents, ask for an attorney. That's number one. For me, with this case, I got that question before, and my answer sometimes it makes people step back, because they say, if you can change anything, if you can go back in time, and if you could change this whole case, would you do it? And I say no. And the reason why I say no is that because this case has given us a platform, and it has given us an opportunity to go out there and speak to kids all across the country, right? It has given us a voice. And with that voice, we decided that we was going to, you know, back in '89, nobody wanted to invest in us. And so we decided that we was going to invest in the kids by telling them this story, by giving them this knowledge.
That's right.
And if it wasn't for this case, my daughter wouldn't be here right now. You know, the stuff that I have accomplished now, I probably wouldn't have accomplished. And if I can save one kid, and later on, years in life, I could see him again, he says, yo, because of you, I went on to be successful, then it was worth it.
That's right.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Ryan.
Hi there, Raymond. Pleasure to have you on today.
How you doing, Ryan?
Something I wanted to ask you, do you have any kind of faith in the justice system anymore?
You know, it's not even about the justice system. It's about the people who are in charge of the justice system. And, you know, another thing, when we go out to these and we speak at these law firms, it's all about being accountable of what your job description is and you performing your duties. At the end of the day, you take an oath to, you know, to perform these duties up to the best of your ability. And it's all about doing your job. Elizabeth Letter, in our case, when that DNA, you seen the film, that DNA evidence comes back, and she says, I feel like I've been kicked in my stomach because the DNA doesn't match. And we're talking about they took handprints, footprints, they took hair samples, they took blood, they took all of our clothes, and nothing came back. Right then and there, she was supposed to start a reinvestigation all over again. Come back and question us, entertain a whole different motive, entertain a different theory, and at that moment she failed to do a job. She said, how can I still get a conviction even though none of this physical evidence matches? And that's what it's about. When you put people in these positions and they fail to do their job, and it reflects on the criminal justice system, and that's when it starts to fall apart. And we need to hold these people accountable to do their job.
So if you wanted to bring a case, would you trust the system to do the right job this time?
You know, it's very difficult. It's difficult. I don't have the faith in the people who run the system. That's where my faith isn't there, because it still happens to this day. We have over 300 exonerations in the United States at the end of the day, you know, and counting. So people are being released, you know, all the time now for something that they did not commit, a crime they did not commit, and nobody gets held accountable. So the system lets these people get away with what they're doing. And so it's not the system, to me, it's not the system itself, it's those who are in place, those who run the system, those who make the rules, the policies, and procedures. Those are the ones that we have to look at.
Now, how would you go about making people accountable so that they don't just try to go for a conviction rate?
Well, I think it starts off with the people, us, the people, the citizens who work every day, who pay tax dollars. We have to start holding our politicians accountable. You know, our vote is the most powerful thing that we can have as a people, because at the end of the day, they all rely on us for our numbers, and so we have to make sure that we put people in place who are going to do who are going to have our best interests at heart and who are going to do their job properly, and so it starts with us.
Wow, there it is. You got one more, Ryan? Y'all on a roll.
Would you want to see people punished if you could be able to prove that they tried to falsely convict someone?
There should be some type of punishment. You know, I mean, I don't know if they should go to prison. I don't know about that. You know, I wouldn't be the one that would make that decision. But there should be some type of punishment at the end of the day, whether, you know, they have to pay restitution, whether they can be sued, whether they go to prison, whether they lose their license, you know, or whether they lose their job. You know, I don't know what that punishment is, but they should be. They have to be held accountable some way, somehow.
That's right. You're definitely right about that.
Thank you very much, Raymond.
Right. Thank you,
My
Ryan.
pleasure.
All right. So we're going to go to Jay right now. Jay, what would you like to say?
Hi,
To
Mr.
Mr. Raymond Santana.
I appreciate
doing?
you. Hi, I appreciate you being on with us, and definitely am very moved by this whole story. And I wanted to ask you about the Central Park 5 documentary and what it was like to work with Sarah Burns and Ken Burns and David McMahon. I really enjoyed the documentary.
Thank you. I mean, you know, that in itself is a story. You know, Sarah. We met Sarah after exoneration. She worked at my lawyer's office. She was an intern. You know, she didn't really know about Sarah. I think she might have been about 6 years old. Am I correct? It's either 6 or 9. She was very young when the story took place, so she didn't know about the Central Park 5 until she got older. And when she met us at my lawyer's office, she asked could she write a paper. And so from that, writing that paper, she decided, you know what, she started doing all this research. And within all this research, she read all the transcripts, tens of thousands of pages of transcripts. She read them, and she started to see the truth. And from that, she became outraged. And she said, you know what, I want to help. Now, this was a girl who was a young woman that was headed to law school. And she didn't want to go to law school anymore. She said, you know what, law school can wait. I want to help these guys, and I want to do my part to see that justice is served. And she proposed 4 years later to write a book. And so at that point, you know, nobody else had access, so we was like, why not? You know, I mean, this is somebody who just wants to help, let her write the book. And again, she started digging deep, and she read all this paperwork. And in the process of her writing this book, you know, her dad, you know, her early chapters, he would edit them, and he knew the story, and he bought the story back in '89, hook, line, and sinker. And so to him, it was like, wow, he really got the inside scoop of what really happened. And he said, you know what, this is a film. We have to put this out. And the best thing about Sarah was that because she was so young, she never formulated an opinion on us coming up. So when she walked into the story, she walked in it open-minded. And all she did was did her research. And she came to her own conclusion, and she figured out the truth. And that was the best part of that. And that influenced her decision on not going to law school. You know, and to this day, I'm happy you didn't go to law school. Thank you.
Well, you know that's right. What'd you say? No offense, but thank you.
No offense, but I'm happy you didn't go to law school.
You know, hold up. Now I want to jump in real quick. This just crossed my mind a minute ago. When it came down to this young lady stepping up for you, did it make you feel kind of bad that our own people didn't step up and fight for you the way this white young lady did? You know, not that race plays nothing into it, but I say all the time, we have to defend our own. I speak on this all the time. We got to quit thinking and play hating. You get what I'm saying? And quit believing everything that we hear. But it's like a lot of these stories that we see right now, and it's just no offense to nobody.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a white person come in and really save the day for us. And thank God they do. You get what I'm saying? But no, you get where I'm coming from, because I'm just saying our own people are not running to really help us. And that's what bothers me, and I don't understand it. I mean, does it make sense what I'm saying? And did it bother you?
100% it makes sense. And yes, it did bother me. It was, you know, and it was our people. It was our, you know, black and Hispanics.
That's right.
You know,
black and brown.
Black and brown. Even
right.
You know, even when the film came out and we was doing this press, I can count how many times the Latin press came and did an interview with me.
Wow.
They did about 5. You know, and we're talking about we stepping in the cities and we're doing press day and we're doing at least 17, 20 interviews. And out of all them cities, maybe I did about a handful of Latin press. And so, you know, it bothered me a great deal, you know. But then like you said, Cogee, you know, I also look at that. Like, here was a white woman who stepped in.
That's right.
and it gave us some
hope,
some validity,
right,
with white people.
That's right. That's right.
Because now once they heard Ken Burns, they said Ken Burns is on this. Oh no, what's going on here? I got to check this out.
Right.
And it opened up.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to say. All I'm trying to say is, man, if we, now don't get me wrong. We don't want no other color to stop supporting what's going on with us, as well as we can't stop. I mean, we shouldn't stop supporting what's going on with them, because number one, if it ain't getting done, we need somebody to do it. That's because right. Our stories need to be heard. We need less and less people going through this situation. And like I said, man, thank God for any color that step up for the right. And I mean that.
Right. That's right. And I said the same thing. At the end of the day, it's all about everybody unifying together for one common cause, and that's with justice.
That's right. You're definitely right about that. Definitely right. Mm-hmm. Do you feel our black leaders let you down at that time? Let y'all down at that time?
Yeah, definitely. At that time, a lot of them head for the hills. A lot of them didn't want to be associated with us. We have this thing as a people that, when we see somebody, they do something, they black and brown, we go, damn, he making us look bad.
Yep, bingo. You're right. I said that earlier. I said it earlier in my opener. You're definitely right about that. But sometime in the midst of making us look bad, sometime you were a pawn to make the situation look bad. And that's what people don't understand. Am I right or wrong?
100% right.
It's just sad, man. I mean, it's just really sad what goes on. And I feel like, that really, Raymond, this is why I do this show. Mm-hmm. I do this show out of love. I do this show out of compassion. And I also do this show because, man, if y'all can't speak and y'all can't be heard, what is stamped on y'all brothers is stamped. It is what it is. You are what you are, and you done what you done.
Yeah. I mean, before the film came out, we were exonerated. It was on page 15. People started saying that it was a technicality. People said we're still guilty of something. They just would not let it go, because this is what the media was still feeding the people. At the end of the day, these guys must have got off on a technicality. What about the other crimes that happened in the park? And what people fail to realize is that there were other guys who admitted to those crimes that happened in the park and said we didn't do it. The 5 of us became the most vulnerable. We weren't the only ones that were picked up within a 3-day span. We were just the ones who were the most vulnerable because we never been involved in the system. So we didn't know what to expect. We didn't have no experience. Right. Some of these guys had experience in the system. So they knew to shut up and get a lawyer. We didn't. That's why it was the Central Park 5 and not the Central Park 15.
Right.
And so, we had to deal with all that, at the end of the day, where people, before this movie came out, people still questioned our innocence. But once this film came out, people start to see it for themselves.
But you know what? And you know what? I want to say this real quick. We down to 2 minutes, but you said you can roll over into the next hour with me just for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, my brother. I do appreciate that. Now, let me say this real quick before we cross over. Now, when they had y'all in court, when they had y'all in the precinct, you know what I'm saying? They was talking to y'all. They was getting ready to let y'all go because they basically called it that y'all were inciting a riot. What is it called when the group's all together?
Menacing, riot. It's called menacing and trespassing. It was all a bunch of misdemeanor charges.
Right, but it's all
yeah.
But they look at it like also inciting a riot. A lot of people getting together to incite a riot, and they was getting ready to let y'all go. Y'all would have got a slap on the wrist, a little fine. It's nothing until they got the hospital call that this lady ain't pulling through. She might die. Then that's when it's like, oh, hold on, oh, whoa, we gotta make something out of this. We gotta start a fire. You feel me?
That's right.
Now, when we come back in, I want to talk about that. Okay.
Okay, definitely.
All right, man. So everybody, hey, I want y'all to stay locked in and tuned in. We'll be right back in. We got Mr. Raymond Santana in. He was one of the Central Park 5. And like I said, y'all got to see the documentary. It'll blow you away. Y'all got to see it tonight. Y'all got to see it right now while we're doing this interview. You know what I'm saying? So we'll be right back in. Stay locked in, and we'll be right back.